I'm Ahdaf Souief. I'm an Egyptian. I'm a novelist. I write fiction, great big romantic novels, and also I write essays in journalism at the intersection of culture and politics. Today we're in Tahrir Square. This is Thursday, and it's been a week since the protests in Egypt have kicked off. Tuesday was a climactic point when this square had, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of people here, and the atmosphere was amazing, and all the creativity and good humor and, I don't know, fun and laughter and courtesy and chivalry of the Egyptians found itself and was made manifest, and we had a great party. Yesterday, the government got itself together, and I'm sorry, we have yesterday, the government resorted to one of its tried and tested tactics, which is to basically pretend that there was a block of people who were of the opposite opinion, and to turn them loose on the protests. Basically, these people are security officers, and they are thugs, people with criminal records, who are in the pay of and they were regimented and they were marched into the square, and there were pitched battles because the protesters refused to leave the square. I was not here yesterday because, as you can tell from my voice, I had a really bad cold, and so I just stayed home and did media stuff. But my son was here, and my nieces and my sister-in-law and my friends, so I was getting updates all the time. And apparently there were incredible battles. Of course, the protesters were unarmed, and the government thugs were armed with everything. They even had cavalry. They even came in with horses and camels, which were captured and were tethered in one corner of the square. Anyway, as you can see, we have held on to the square and we're here today. We don't know what's going to happen later today because, of course, the government does its stuff after nightfall. As I left my home this afternoon, the so-called new Prime Minister was on television making a statement, apologizing for what happened and saying he didn't know how it had happened, but, he was sorry. But, of course, we feel that they're preparing something else because it was quite difficult getting over the bridges to the square today. We were challenged and insulted and so on, but everybody still came in. Tomorrow there is a call for another massive protest, and we hope that the square and other parts of Egypt will fill again with protesters. We'll see. This is a very important moment. This is a really historic moment, and my sense is that it really isn't just about Egypt. This is about a different and a better way of being in the world. And our kids here are showing us the way, and it's just incredibly moving, and I'm just so proud of them.
I've been amazed at seeing women here in the middle of the night, sleeping here with the dangers. How did their parents let them stay here? I mean, what is the role of these women?
Well, you know something? I mean, one young woman said to me that when she said to her father that she was coming out and she was doing this, she said he didn't say, why are you doing it? He didn't say, take care. He just said, God be with you. That was it. All the young women I know, and from my own observation, report that any of the harassment or molestation that we've seen increasingly on our streets in the last decade completely vanished from the square. I mean, you look like you're about to bump into a guy and he steps back with his hands out, People are so chivalrous. And the women are really taking, just taking a totally frontal role. You see women walking, just sort of chanting things by themselves or just sitting, looking. It's just wonderful. It's really, really how Egypt used to be, how I remember it in the mid-60s when I was a child. And it's like it's suddenly shaking off the dust and come back,
No matter what happens, how do you feel like the lives of these young women will be transformed?
Look, I think everybody's life is transformed, I have a niece here who is 17, and she's got the jeans and the big hair, and she was walking along the other night, and this old guy with a beard and with the prayer mark spoke to her, and he said, "Do you mind if I just tell you something?" And she thought he was going to start preaching at her, and he said, "I get tired, and I think of going home, and then I see a young woman like you out here, and I think she can do it, I have to do it, I'm sticking it out." It's not just the women. I have heard people articulating how their perception of themselves and their society has been altered by these days, and this is something that is never going to go. Whatever happens now, this has happened. We know who we are, we know how we can be, and how we can be with each other, and we know it not just theoretically, which we always have done, but we know it in practice that we can do it. That's what we're going to do forever.
In every interview I've had, I've been asked about the role of the Muslim Brotherhood. So I'd like to know what you say when you're asked.
The Muslim Brotherhood are part of the fabric of the society. They're here. When it's prayer time, you are going to notice that some people pray, some people don't. And everybody lets the other, even the people who pray, that doesn't mean that they're all Muslim Brotherhood. When you talk to people who belong to the Muslim Brotherhood, they tell you very frankly that they have not been part of organizing this. It has taken them by surprise, but they have been swept up in it, and they are delighted to be swept up in it. So, again, somebody who was sitting next to me, his wife was in the full niqab, and I was eavesdropping, and he was lecturing her, basically, about how the wonderful thing about Egypt is its diversity. He was saying to her, "This is the great thing." He said, when I went over to pray, I gave somebody the bottle of water to pour it for me so I could ablu, and he turned out to be a Christian, and I embraced him, he's my brother. Now, this might be true, it might not be true. If it's not true, it's a story he has invented to express how he is now thinking. I think we are in an exceptional moment where really every trend that we have here can be knit together and work for the common good. And we are adamant that we are all going to accept each other. I will accept the Brotherhood, they will accept me, and we're all going to work together.
My last question to you is what some women have said to me is that they have been major participants in this, but they don't see women at the higher levels where the discussions about the future are happening. What do you think about that?
Yeah, this is a problem. Look, we are in whatever it's called a revolutionary state, a ferment state. This has taken everybody by surprise. I was talking to a group of young people who have led this, who led the organizing, in other words, who called for it to happen on their Facebook groups. And they said that they can claim to have made 20% of it happen. The 80% was ready of its own, and it was the right moment, and it came together. So, in a sense, we've been unprepared. We're prepared in the sense that we generally know what we want and the direction in which we want to head. But the mechanics of it and the specifics of it, we don't know. And so people have been scrambling to put together some kind of body to negotiate, some kind of body to front, some kind of body that the world can look at and think, oh, it's not just a bunch of hotheads. And so a group of the wise and the good have got together and have sort of more or less elected themselves, or have been born out of what is called the alternative parliament, which is the members of parliament who would have been elected had the government not rigged the elections. And they are 10. They are 7 establishment figures and 3 representatives of the youth movement. And in those 7, there are no women. It was an oversight. It's not deliberate. It's because it was done in haste and they were talking to each other and so on. We can live with that for the moment. It doesn't matter. We are confident that when the time comes that that there is a mechanism to actually choose, elect, whatever, form some kind of caretaker council, and certainly when it comes time to form a cabinet or whatever. You know, women will be in there, Christians will be in there, whatever. All the trends will be in there. For the moment, we just have to accept certain shortcomings because things are being patched together in a hurry. We're under a lot of pressure, and obviously there are a lot of dangers and a lot of people and locations that wish us ill, and so we're working very quickly.
And finally, to Western governments and people in the West, what is your message?
My message is that my message to people is that this is a people's revolution, and it's a young people's revolution. It's completely grassroots, completely organic, completely inclusive and creative. And it really, Madia, you're here. I've seen other people from the kind of international solidarity movements here, and people say this is like an exemplary revolution, and I think that people the world over should support it because of that, because it is providing a living example of how things can be and how things should be in the best possible scenario. So people the world over should look out for us, should find ways of supporting us, should pressure their governments. Now, to the governments, I would say that it might look in the short term as though this is scary and as though Egypt is going to take a leap into the unknown, and as though the region is going to slip out of control. They need to know that finally people cannot be kept down. Our cause is that our country should be run for our benefit, for the benefit of the majority of the Egyptians. And we are responsible. And if this means that others...
Just wait. Could you go back to before the ambulance came?
Okay.
Thank you.
So, our cause is just. I think there is no arguing with that. Because our cause is simply that our country should be run for the benefit of the Egyptians, for the benefit of its people, the majority of its people. Now, it's kind of hard to see how you can back down from this position. We've seen it slipping away from us. We've seen our country being sold out from under our feet. We've seen our education system collapse, our health system collapse. And we want it to happen. So, if we're defeated this time, we are going to come back. And any people who are in this position are always going to come back. So you're talking about a state of permanent turbulence. So basically, let this happen and let this country find the way that suits it. And then let us work together for the region to be stable and to be peaceful. Finally, there is a shape into which this region needs to fall, so that everybody, and I mean everybody, excluding no one, can live in it with dignity and with peace. The sooner we can get there, the better, because the price that's being paid along the way is very, very high. So really, finally, if Western governments are in the business of encouraging stability and encouraging decency and encouraging democracy and the right of everybody to live in peace and dignity, they should not stand against what is happening in Egypt.